Yo, what is up guys? It's me exactly back bringing you some more daily NBA news and updates. You already know that we got a few things to talk about today, so let's just get right into it. But first, we got a quick word about this video sponsor, SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the app that is a must-have for NBA fans who enjoy or want to go see games live. They let you see the view from the seat before you purchase, as well as rank the seats on a scale from 1 to 100 to make sure that you are getting the absolute best deal. Speaking of best deal, you can enter the promo code SDC to receive $20 off your first order to make it an even better deal. Download the app in the description box below. Now with that out the way though, let's go. You guys know how big of a fan I am of Kawhi Leonard. Outside of every single player on the Detroit Pistons, with maybe the exception of John Lewis, he is my favorite player in the NBA. So it has hurt me a bit that I haven't been able to see him set flames to the basketball court so far this season. It's like every day, every time there's a game, especially when the Spurs play, it feels like something is missing. You know what I mean? Kawhi Leonard has missed the entire regular season so far. He missed the Spurs training camp and he missed preseason as well with an injured quad. You guys remember when that video came out showcasing Kawhi Leonard in grimacing pain trying to get up the stairs to board the team's flight to Chicago? I'm sure you guys all remember that video. Well, apparently back then they said he was in so much pain because he had just finished with rehab. So that's what was wrong with him back then, but the question is now, what is taking Kawhi Leonard so long to get back into action? It gets really concerning when you realize Tony Parker, who went down back in the playoffs with a completely torn quad, is already running 5-on-5s in practice and is only weeks away from returning to the basketball court. Tony's at the point where he's been going 5-on-5 and that kind of thing. He's not totally confident. It'll be a few more weeks, but he's definitely going the right direction, and so is Kawhi. It's just taking a bit longer. I wouldn't want him to go right from rehab into jumping on the court. He's got to go 3-on-3, 5-on-5, feel comfortable, because in the end, that confidence is what's going to, anybody who's been out any length of time has to get that back. Even if the doctors say, yep, you're ready to go, you're really not ready to go until you're mentally ready to go. I agree that your mind has to be just as healed as your body. You have to be as mentally ready to play as you are physically ready to play. But what on earth is taking Kawhi Leonard so long? Tony Parker completely tore his quad and is so far ahead of his rehab schedule than Kawhi Leonard is. Tony is already running 5-on-5s in practice while Kawhi Leonard is still rehabbing. Even according to Popovich, it won't be another couple of weeks before we get to see Tony back on the court, so who knows how long that means we have to wait for Kawhi Leonard. At this rate, he might not come back till close to or even after the All-Star break, which will pretty much eliminate him from all talks of winning MVP, because you can't play for half a season and then win MVP unless you did something freaking mind-blowing, which sucks because I think a lot of people had Kawhi Leonard favored to win that award this year. It's just been more difficult for him to get through the rehab routine. His body hasn't reacted the same way as Tony's. That's what Greg Popovich said about Kawhi Leonard. See, the good thing is that the Spurs are still the Spurs. They're going to win no matter who is on the court for them. So making the playoffs, even if they're forced to miss Kawhi Leonard for like half the season, won't be a big deal to them at all. And Manu Ginobili said yesterday that it actually might be a good thing for the Spurs in the long run for them to learn to play without Kawhi Leonard right now. I think it's a great thing for guys like Brian Forbes, Brandon, and even Kyle Anderson, because they're having to be more responsible offensively, have more possessions, and make more decisions. So I think it's going to end up being a great thing for the team long term. Short term, we miss him. We need him out there. When he comes back, we are going to have to readjust. So it's going to take a little bit of time. But at this point, it's making those guys step up and play a bigger role. Fair enough. I guess there is some good to be found in all this bad. Kind of like how Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are being forced to step up for the Boston Celtics since Gordon Hayward went down. The team is only going to get better without Kawhi Leonard. So when he comes back, they will only be that much better. Maybe this is a good thing, but it still sucks. Get well soon, Kawhi. Speaking of injuries though, let's talk about Joel Embiid. The Philadelphia 76ers rested him yesterday against the Utah Jazz, claiming they needed to monitor his workload or something along those lines, which is odd because I can't even remember the last time the Sixers even played a game before yesterday. It had been a minute, and it's not like they're playing a game today either, so it wasn't about to be a back-to-back, and the Sixers were saving him for today since Joel Embiid isn't allowed to play back-to-backs at the moment. They're just not willing to risk it. They don't want to put too much stress on his body and cause an injury. But sitting him out just to monitor his workload, is that really necessary? Rudy Gobert said yesterday that he feels the Sixers are just overprotecting the big man. Right now, Joel Embiid is averaging around 28 minutes per game, 20 points, and 10 rebounds per game. But still, are these Sixers babying him too much? I kind of want to say they are, but at the same time, I can kind of see where they're coming from too. I can sort of understand them not allowing him to play back-to-backs right now. Still want to know how long this is going to last though, because if he's completely healthy right now and not allowed to play back-to-backs, how's that going to change when he's completely healthy a couple months from now? And will he then be allowed to play back-to-backs? The Sixers just invested a ton of money into Joel Embiid when they gave him that $150 million contract extension, so of course they want to protect their investment, even though they do have that clause where if he gets injured again, they can basically waive him and not owe him anything. All things considered, I guess it really hasn't been too long, if you think about it, since Joel Embiid has been cleared to play in the NBA again. For this, he had played in 8 of the Sixers' last 9 games, so maybe it's just something that every 10 games they're going to force Joel Embiid to sit out just as a precaution to monitor his workload. It's just strange they would do it last night after he had already had like the past 3 or 4 nights off. There should have been no need to rest him last night. The Phoenix Suns are not done yet. After trading away Eric Bledsoe for what could turn out to be just a first-round pick, if they are do what they are rumored to be doing, which is looking to buy out Greg Monroe, if they are unsuccessful in finding a trade partner for him, which they most likely won't be able to do. But instead of Greg Monroe, the Phoenix Suns have their eye on another post-dominant scoring big man, Jahlil Okafor. The only thing is they had to figure out this whole Greg Monroe situation first. Like I said, they want to trade him. He is on the last year of his contract, so that should make him kind of appealing to teams. What isn't appealing though is that he is owed nearly $18 million this year. That's a huge turnoff. And I also just don't see why any team in their right mind would trade for Monroe with Okafor still being available. The two of them are pretty much the exact same player, except Okafor is 6 years younger and doesn't make nearly as much money this year. So if Phoenix wants to hurry up and snag Okafor, then they're most likely just going to bite the bullet and pay Monroe, because trading him, unless they're packaging him with like a draft pick or some young assets, it's gonna be nearly impossible to do. Question of the daytime: what do you think about this Joel Embiid situation? Do you think the Philadelphia 76ers are babying him? Let me know down in the comment section below. But now let's take a look at what you guys said in yesterday's video. And yesterday, after Eric Bledsoe was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, I asked you guys what you thought about the trade, and this is what you had to say. Question of the day may sound silly, but I think the Bucks should bring Bledsoe off the bench, even more so when Jabari comes back. He would add a lot more as the first option to the second unit than being the co-third option with Middleton on the first unit. He could be what Harden was in OKC and make the Bucks a nightmare to play against for a full 48 minutes. Question of the day: I'm just doing the obvious. Milwaukee got a steal. Greg Monroe hasn't played well. He's also a big contract. Not sure how Bledsoe will work with Giannis though. Question of the day: I think Suns management is missing a chromosome. Bledsoe coming off the bench. That is a pretty interesting thought. Like I said earlier in the highlight video, the Milwaukee Bucks are going to have to bring someone off the bench unless they are comfortable starting Giannis Antetokounmpo at the 5, especially when Jabari comes back. Because you have Bledsoe, Brogdon, Middleton, Giannis, and Parker. And just thinking about it, Eric Bledsoe would kind of make the most sense to bring out the bench, not because he's worse than any of those players, but because his skill set is the best suited to coming off the bench. He can come in and lead the offense for the second unit. But is that really the direction that the Milwaukee Bucks will go? Will Eric Bledsoe actually accept a role off the bench? If you remember years ago, the whole reason he ended up on Phoenix was because he didn't want to come off the bench anymore for the Clippers. So now would he be willing to come off the bench for this Milwaukee Bucks team? I don't know about that. The trade overall was just great for the Bucks though. There's no disputing that. They basically got him for free. That's going to do it for today though, guys. Let me know what you think about all of this down in the comment section below. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more daily NBA news and updates. And I guess until tomorrow, keep getting them Bucks, Team HTC, and I'm out of here. Peace!